Ethan Miller checked his watch for the third time in 10 minutes. The blind date was 20 minutes late now, and the window table had turned into a stage no one wanted. Across from him, Lily, his 5-year-old, was bent over the paper menu, coloring a dragon with the green crayon the waitress had just brought. He shouldn't have brought his daughter. His sister had offered to watch her, but when Lily heard Daddy's meeting a friend, her eyes lit up. Is she nice? Is she going to be my new mommy? Ethan only smiled, because what could he say? Since Emma died of cancer 3 years ago, his life had been a mix of longing and pretending to be fine. Some mornings he stood steady. Some nights the sound of a ventilator in his memory roared like it was yesterday. "Daddy, I'm hungry," Lily said, not looking up from the dragon. "Give her a few more minutes, honey." Ethan smoothed her hair. His phone buzzed. A text flashed. "Sorry, something came up. Can't make it." Ethan exhaled and leaned back. He'd guessed this would happen, but guessing didn't make being left alone in front of 2 glasses of water any easier. He glanced around the Saturday lunch rush, knives tapping plates, the smell of garlic butter bread, kids laughing, adults talking. Everything fit. Except him. "Can I get more crayons?" Lily looked up. Before Ethan could answer, a light, clear voice sounded behind him. "Let me grab a new box for you two." He turned. The waitress stood there, brown hair tied back, striped apron dusted with flour, tired eyes but warm. The name tag on her chest read Grace. She set down a nearly new box of crayons and a few sheets of clean paper. "These are better than the menu paper," she said, winking at Lily. "And that dragon needs his own sky." "Thank you, Miss Grace," Lily chirped. Grace smiled, then to Ethan. "If you need anything else, just call me." The way she spoke, exactly enough, not nosy, not pushing close, loosened something tight in his chest. A few minutes later, Grace came back with a small basket of bread and a lemonade. "Kitchen's testing a new garlic butter. We're having guests taste it. And the lemonade is for the longer kind of lunch." The last line was low enough that only he heard it. Ethan smiled. "You're perceptive." "It's not hard to guess," she said, sliding a straw with little stars toward Lily. Anti-boredom magic. The order was still baked pasta for Lily and a salad for Ethan, but the air at the table had changed. Lily told Grace about a dragon that loved pizza. Grace drifted and returned at the right moments to add paper, straighten a crooked plate, and ask, "What color is your dragon's sky?" Ethan recognized the kind of care good service people carry, present without intruding, listening without prying. Food arrived. Lily ate happily. Ethan's fork barely tapped a leaf of lettuce while his eyes kept time with the room. Grace set a small bowl of soup by Lily's plate. "A gift from the chef for our dragon artist." Lily squeaked softly and thanked her 3 times, then tilted her head and studied Grace. "You look like Mommy." Ethan's fork paused. Grace stilled for a beat, then lowered herself to Lily's eye level, natural as someone who understood children. "What part looks like Mommy?" "The kind part," Lily said. "You knew my dragon needed sky." Grace laughed, and the laugh brightened her whole face. "Then I'm happy." A table called. Grace stood, a trace of garlic butter in her wake. Ethan watched her go and wondered why a small kindness could quiet his chest like that. Maybe because he'd spent too many lunches where kindness came with a service charge. When it was time to pay, Grace approached, a little awkward. "I don't know if this is okay, but the manager would like to treat you two to dessert because your friend didn't show." She stumbled on the last words. "It's okay," Ethan said, this time smiling for real. "Thanks for noticing." It should have ended with a receipt, a goodbye, and a door closing. But as Ethan folded his wallet, Lily tugged his sleeve. "Can I show her the dragon castle?" Before he answered, Grace had returned. "I want to see." She looked closely and praised without flattery. "A dragon with round windows means he lives in the castle of a kind person." Lily nodded gravely. Windows let the wind in so he doesn't get hot. Grace glanced at Ethan as if to say, "Your daughter's doing fine." Ethan nodded back as if to say, "Thanks for seeing it." The next day, Ethan came back with his laptop. He told himself he needed a change of scene, but some other part sat him at the same table. The lunch lull had settled. Grace was behind the counter, studying the printed shift schedule. "What can I get you today?" "Black coffee," he said, then eyed the schedule. "2 shifts back to back?" "Yeah, lots of people asked off." She hit the machine, smiling at herself. Cute cafe, kind guests, not so cute pay. "Sounds like a marriage," Ethan teased. The quick smile that crossed her face was short, but real. He opened his inbox. Tasks foamed up like coffee, contracts to answer, double-booked calls, invoices piling. Since moving his company fully remote to be near his daughter, he'd been his own admin. Code, clients, calendars, naps. Asking for help wasn't his skill, but something about the woman behind the counter made "I need support" feel less bitter. When Grace set down the coffee, he asked, "Are you any good at scheduling, emails, admin stuff?" Grace blinked. "At the restaurant, I do a little of everything. I studied business, but after graduating, She lifted a shoulder, voice as even as a weather report. "Life doesn't follow a Gantt chart." "I need someone," Ethan said, as directly as he shipped a bug fix. "Remote admin, flexible hours, fair pay, health insurance. You can keep your shifts if you want. But I need someone who catches, understands, moves fast, keeps promises." Grace didn't answer right away. She looked through the window at the sun sliding across the tile floor, then back at him. Her eyes held the wariness of someone who'd been offered empty words, and the hope of someone still willing to believe. "You're not offering this because you feel sorry for me, right?" "No," Ethan said, "because yesterday you noticed a kid and a man pretending to be okay. People who do good work usually start by noticing." She studied him a moment longer, measuring whether the line was polite or true. "Let me try a week. If I can't do it, you let me go." "Deal." Her hand was warm, the skin faintly cracked from hot dishwater. In week 1, Grace worked like she'd always worked that way. She braided scattered emails into threads, built response templates, tightened the calendar, and nudged Ethan for a morning check-in and an end-of-day summary. Lily liked her so much that every night she asked, "Will Miss Grace video call tomorrow?" Grace laughed and told Lily a wave was enough. The adult knots could be hers to untangle. 3 months later, Grace still kept a weekend shift for the music of cutlery and butter in the air. And on weekdays, she worked for Ethan from the little kitchen table in her rented place beside a tiny cactus. She sent him a bare-bones budget sheet so effective he sat up straighter. "You taught yourself managerial accounting?" "I learned because I had to live," she said lightly. Late summer, Ethan invited Grace and Lily to the park. Grace ended her shift early, traded the apron for a white tee and jeans, hair tied like always. They sat on a bench while Lily flew a paper kite. "Do you ever think you'll work in restaurants forever?" he asked. "Sure," Grace said honestly. "Not because I love low pay, but because that place taught me to notice people. Who needs more napkins? Who needs to hear, 'You doing okay today?' Who's pretending to be fine? But I want to study more, too. I want to do more than carry a tray well." The phrase "carry a tray" well pricked him. "I think you've been doing more than tables and trays for a long time," he said. On the drive home, Lily dozed in the back with her plush dragon. Ethan stopped at Grace's building. "Thanks for..." He trailed off, realizing he was about to thank her for something he didn't have words for. Grace saved him. "For seeing me at the counter, not just the apron," she said, smiling, and closed the door softly, like not to wake a brand new dream. One night, the place was slammed, the kitchen jammed, the receipt printer chewed paper. A customer's voice climbed. Grace spun through the room. Spotting the two of them, she signed 1 minute. A minute became 10. Ethan stood. Need a hand? You know how to fix printers? Grace gasped, still smiling. Enough to fake it. He popped the cover, tugged the roll, wiped the sensor. The machine chimed and started spitting orders. Grace exhaled and made sure the manager heard. He just saved this shift. The manager glanced from Ethan to Grace and grunted a tidy nod. When the room settled, Grace looked over at Lily chewing a cookie. Thanks, hardware rescue team. On Lily's first day of school, Grace swapped shifts so she could walk to the gate with them. She braided Lily's hair into neat pigtails and tucked a little paper heart into the shirt pocket. When you get scared, touch this. Fear will soften. Ethan stepped back and felt as if someone had laid a solid brick right where the foundation used to crack. That afternoon, standing on the porch with a warm mug, he said, I have to say this. Say it. Things are good. And that scares me. He laughed at himself for sounding like a kid. When Lily said you look like Emma, I wanted to push it away. But now I get it. She didn't mean your face. She meant the way you make people feel safe. Grace was quiet for a long moment. I'm not Lily's mother. I know. I can't replace anyone. I know that too. He drew a breath. But if you want, we can keep painting this picture. Slowly, without erasing anything. They didn't rush. They walked, split a bowl of pasta for dinner. Morning texts from Grace, eat breakfast. Evenings where Ethan took the back table and watched her move between tables like she was playing a song without a wrong note. In the small things, something big grew. Trust. A year later, under warm string lights in Ethan's backyard, they had a small wedding. Lily scattered petals like snow. The once gruff manager stood in the last row, clearing his throat as if to hide something tender. Grace said in her vows, the restaurant taught me everyone has a bad day and needs one extra thing. Maybe a napkin, maybe I'm here. I want to bring that extra thing home. Ethan said, we don't forget who we loved. We honor them by continuing to be kind. That night, tucking in his daughter, Lily whispered, I told you Miss Grace is like Mommy. You did, he said. Not her hair or eyes, Lily murmured. Her heart. She hugged the dragon and fell asleep fast, as if a big question inside her had finally found its answer. After the wedding, Grace kept one weekend shift. Not for the money, though money was never too much, but because she didn't want to forget what it felt like to stand among strangers and make their day a little lighter. At home, she brought that habit of noticing into every corner, the water pitcher always full. Lily's shoes turned toward the door, ready, blue sticky notes on the calendar, breathe, step outside 10 minutes, 30-second hug. Ethan kept building the company, for the first time feeling like he could be a present father and a man no longer living off memory. One rainy afternoon, the power went out. The house smelled of damp wood and soft thunder. Lily fetched the old crayon box. Grace spread a big sheet of paper on the table. The three of them drew a castle with many round windows. Ethan drew the steps. Lily drew the dragon. Grace drew the sky. In a corner, she added one tiny window. For the wind, she said. Ethan stared at that little window a long time. He finally understood why, on that first day, a lemonade and a box of crayons had eased his chest, because someone had opened a window for him. Small, but enough so fear could slip out and hope could breathe. Years later, when people ask Lily how her parents met, she, tall as Grace now, will shrug. At a diner, she'll say. If they listen longer, she'll mention the crayon box and the window so the dragon doesn't overheat. And her hand will drift to her shirt pocket, the place Grace once tucked a paper heart. Some stories aren't complicated at all. One person arrives at the right time, one person dares to say yes, and then small courtesies repeat until they become love. If he had to boil it down, Ethan would say, "Don't let the dragon overheat. Open a window." And Grace would smile and add softly, "And notice each other." Because sometimes a whole family begins with a lemonade meant for the longer kind of lunch, and a warm enough look to make someone breathe for real.